I am so tired of coming on this podcast every single week and telling you to stop playing T.Y. Hilton. Like, just stop it.
Mikey needs help.
Mikey needs help.
I was like, if you don't have Jeff Wilson in here, and if you don't run it on first down, I'm going to strangle you through that TV.
You should know better than everyone else. That fool tears you up when you plays you.
Yeah, but
Don't you want him on your team?
I have him at number 25.
Thank you. Fine. Todd's the reasonable one on this show.
I take issue with everything he said there.
Well,
I really do.
DeAndre Swift. He's going to break them tackles, son.
That's bold. That's bold. That's putting your nuts on the table right there.
Hey, there's the first time for everything.
Waxing poetic over here with Todd Diamond.
Dude's old.
So what? He's not as old as Brady, and you're jerking him off before the show starts.
I have Sutton in my top 10. I have him at number 9. Yes.
You know what? I'm just canceling the league. I can't do this with you guys. All right, the dragon has been slayed, the demon has been exorcised, and the streak has come to an end. Welcome to the MHA podcast. We just finished the first week of the MHA playoffs, and boy, there's a ton to talk about on this Tuesday night, which includes the Lemonheads finally taking down Lion Rip, something they hadn't done in the previous 9 games. What a feeling. A very ecstatic Eric Lansing here with Todd Diamond and Mikey Renault. What's up, gentlemen? How are we doing tonight? Todd.
Feeling, I'm doing all right. It'd be nice to be in the playoffs, but, it's kind of a different, mindset looking on and just being like, all right, I can get back here. I know what I need to do. And that's not draft Najee Harris or Russell Wilson. So I'm good.
Well, you definitely didn't have to sweat this weekend, and not having to sweat because he had a bye was Mikey Renault. How we doing this evening?
I'm excited. This is what this year has all come down to for me. None of it matters anymore. First place, regular season, first round bye. I've got an opponent now, so I'm ready to get this thing started.
And we'll tell you who that opponent is in just a moment. But yeah, what a fun time. Well, as fun as it can get. I'll be interested to get Mikey's take on his just watching me and Aaron go at it on Sunday, but we'll get to that. What's coming up on the show? Well, we'll bring you some news from the NFL world that at least affects our MHA playoffs. We'll recap the quarterfinal matchups of the playoffs. Of course, a little bit of MHA trivia, and we'll get you ready for what's coming up next in the semifinals. So let's get to that news.
Well, this reporter was possibly a little hasty earlier. Would like to reaffirm his allegiance to this country and its human president. May not be perfect, but it's still the best government we have. For now.
And we'll start things off with the biggest news. Jalen Hurts suffered a shoulder sprain in his game against the Bears, and there was some speculation and tweets and news and yada, yada, yada that he could miss the game against Dallas this Saturday. The Gonzo Cats, who have ridden Hurts to the 2nd overall seed, will have to sit and wait and see if Hurts can go this weekend. Gonzo Cats currently do not have a backup on the bench, so it'll be interesting to see who they pick up tonight. When you read this, they'll already have a backup quarterback, I assume. The Philly quarterback did not practice on Tuesday. Philadelphia does have a 3-game lead over the Cowboys and a 2-game lead over Minnesota for the top seed in the NFC. They could afford to give Hurts the week off to make sure he's 100% ready for those incoming playoffs. So tough to see if you're the Gonzo Cats. I'll let you guys kind of talk about these as we go along. Christian McCaffrey's been dealing with a knee injury. He actually was last week as well, limited in Tuesday's practice. They're probably just managing his reps. Speaking of teams way ahead in their division, the 49ers are 3 games ahead of Seattle in the NFC West. They are tied with Dallas at 10-4, so still a lot to play for. But Kilgore Trout, probably okay. Not too worried about CMC not playing this weekend. The Hot Tamales are playing their first meaningful game in a month? T. Higgins limited in practice on Tuesday, still dealing with that hamstring, but it's early in the week, and he dealt with it last week and scored 14 points on Sunday. And just for those who don't know, Tyler Lockett broke his finger in week 14 and won't be available this weekend. He had successful surgery today. They have not ruled him out for week 17 in case the Tamales reach the championship game. But those are kind of the biggest news and notes that I noticed. But, man, Jalen Hurts, that has to be tough for Gonzo Cats for sure.
Yeah.
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 Could be the Gardner Minshew show.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the options for him in the free agency world, and Gardner Minshew is definitely one of them. You guys can tell me if these guys are the best options or not. But Matt Ryan's out there. Russell Wilson, if he plays, he'll be
Let's
playing
ride.
in Los Angeles. That's right. Goodness, Davis Mills against Tennessee, Mac Jones for Cincinnati, Trubisky or Pickett, whoever's going. Not a lot of great options out there. Zach Wilson, if he wants to go Thursday night against Jacksonville.
Oof.
But
That's
I think the toughest part too. I probably wouldn't go with the Zach Wilson because you want to know more. Because they may not know if he plays until the day of. So that's rough. I hope it's not. Obviously there's that competitive side. I would just love to get to the championship game with no stress. But you also want to go mano a mano and have full rosters going toe to toe. So I guess we'll kind of wait and see on that.
There's no way if I was the Eagles, I would play him.
Yeah. But because here's the thing: if this is right, if they beat Dallas, they'd win the division, right? If they
just have to win one of their last three.
And it's all about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The division's nice. You want to? They're currently in the first spot. Getting that bye is great too, but it's about having Jalen Hurts there, and 100%. So we'll kind of wait and see how that goes. Just unfortunate to kind of a smash into the turf by the Bears. So that's all the news I have. Did I miss anything, guys?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, I didn't really see him too much either, which is good. We don't want to see too many injuries. So you guys ready for a little MHA trivia?
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Yay!
There you are, Todd.
Yeah! Yay!
All right, so this is how MHA trivia is going to work this week. I just went through and found some stats from week 15. I'm going to ask you a question. You both can chime in, and whoever gets to 4 or 5 points, we'll just kind of base that on how the time is going, because we don't want to go too long on this. But we also are only looking back on 2 games, so we'll see who gets to 5 points first, and we'll go from there. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, Todd. Let's do it. I believe in you, Todd. Let's take down that Mikey.
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Okay.
So we saw the Minnesota Vikings come from 33 down to defeat the Indianapolis Colts for the biggest comeback of all time. What was the previous record deficit that was overcame?
It was. I know the teams: Buffalo Bills, and Houston Oilers.
Okay,
And
that's not the question I'm asking.
I know, but I'm just trying to go in my head here. It was 24 points.
Okay, Todd says 24 points was the previous deficit. Mikey, do you have a guess?
I feel like it was more than that. 33.
Todd got the teams right.
Yeah, I just feel like the points are wrong. Like, I feel like it was more points than that. Like, I'm going to say 27.
Okay, and the answer is it was actually 32, if you can believe that. This is 1 point. So Mikey was closer. He gets the first point. 1992 season. I remember watching that game. And Frank Reich leading the way. Jim Kelly wasn't even in the game. It was Frank Reich bringing him all the way back. 32 points. Poor Matt. Do you guys feel bad for Matt Ryan? I mean, he was a part of this one, and he was a part of the biggest deficit in Super Bowl history.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
If I'm Matt Ryan, I'm almost like, you know what? I'm done.
Not all his fault, but his name will be associated with those.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah. He'll be a trivia question for sure.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of trivia, let's keep going on ours. Tom Brady was 89-0 before what took place this weekend against the Bengals. Does that make sense? Something happened.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Mikey knows.
I know what it is. I heard the stat while when we were watching the game.
Belt it out, my man.
So 89-0 when he had at least I think it was at least a 17-point lead in the first half of a game, something like that.
Sure, you're close. So I'll let Todd. If you have a guess at all, Todd.
You know what? I usually belt out guesses anyway, but I can't even this one. I couldn't even give you a crazy guess because I don't know.
Well, Mikey's the closest. I mean, it was a 17-point lead, but I don't think it signified first half or second half.
Oh, okay.
Just said it had a 17-point lead before blowing it. It was 89-0 when his team had a 17-point or more lead before that just destruction in the second half. So Mikey picks up another point. All right, Todd, let's go. You can get this next one. Jalen Hurts ran for 3 touchdowns against the Bears this past Sunday. He's now got 13 rushing touchdowns, but that's not a record. Who holds the record for most rushing touchdowns in a single season?
That would be Michael Vick. With
Michael
yeah,
Vick.
say Michael Vick.
Mikey, do you have a guess?
I'll say Cam Newton.
Right.
Yep. Todd, you can hear Todd sigh. Yep, that is the answer. He actually had 14. So Jalen Hurts right around the corner from tying Cam Newton for the most rushing touchdowns in a single season. So Mikey's.
I know there was a running back. I know there was another quarterback before Cam Newton. Because I was gonna say the other one I was gonna say besides Michael Vick, I was gonna say like either way go back Randall Cunningham and Steve Young, but I know those probably weren't right.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I could see where you're thinking though, because Vic's the better running quarterback, but they just always ran Cam Newton at the goal line.
But Cunningham had a lot he had a lot of rushing touchdowns when he in his heyday. But that's a different time. That's a different story. Anyway, continue.
We'll continue on here. Justin Herbert. Let's take a look at some of the stats. He drove his Chargers team down the field in the final minutes against the Titans in Week 15. Cameron Dicker kicked in the game-winning field goal for the win. In Herbert's last drive, he surpassed 4,000 yards. This is the third straight season to start his NFL career in which he's reached 4,000 yards passing. Is Herbert the first quarterback ever to do that? If not, who else did it?
I'll go Peyton Manning.
Mikey, what's your guess?
So it was 4,000 yards in his first 3 seasons.
Right, to start his career. Yep. So first 3 seasons. Yep.
Oh. Okay, I'll say Dan Marino.
Damn it. That sounds right too. Fuck.
That's all right, Todd. He's wrong too. Herbert is the first quarterback to do it.
What? Really?
So I didn't try to trick you, but is Herbert the first quarterback ever to do that? If not, who else did it? And he is the first quarterback in NFL history to have 4,000 yards.
Really?
His first 3 seasons.
I thought for sure, Dan Marino would have been right because Dan Marino was the first one. I guess maybe the question was different. Dan Marino was the first quarterback ever to throw for 4,000 yards.
Isn't that what I just asked? I mean, him. Oh, you're saying like
ever,
in his first season?
Yeah, is what I was.
Well, he had 2,200, 2,210 in his first season. He started 9 games played in 11, and then he had 5,000 in his second season, 4,137 in his second season, and 4,746 in his third season, but not to start his NFL career.
Okay.
So no one gets the point there. Very disappointed. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Okay. Let's keep going. Mikey's 3-0 here right now. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy, excuse me, I typed in Purdy. Brock Purdy helped his 49ers team clinch the NFL West Division title and became just the second quarterback ever to reach a passer rating of 115 in his first 2 NFL starts. Who is that other quarterback? And I will give you a hint. This quarterback currently plays in the league today. So I'll just kind of say that again. He is the second, Brock Purdy is the second quarterback to have a passer rating of 115 or more in his first 2 starts. Who is the other quarterback to do that?
Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, Mikey.
I honestly have no clue, so I'll just throw out Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, what a guess from Mikey Renault. Aaron Rodgers back in 2008. Mikey is incredible at MHA trivia. folks.
Hey, honestly, that was totally a guess. So don't give me credit for that, because
I even tried to finagle the hint, because initially I had it as this quarterback is still playing in the league, and I didn't want to give it away as someone who's old. And so that's why Todd picked Patrick Mahomes, the way I phrased it. But Mikey still got it.
I just tried to think of somebody that's pretty consistent as far as passer rate, because passer rating is like usually like, it's not necessarily yards. It's just like somebody with a high completion percentage that doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. So that kind of fits Aaron Rodgers.
Well done. All right, Mikey's up 4-0. Still needs one more point here. We'll go to another quarterback. Josh Allen became just the third player to reach 300 or more yards passing in one game, 4 touchdowns, and 75 or more rushing yards in a single game. Who are the other two? So Allen, 300 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and 75 or more rushing yards in a single game. 2 other guys did it first. Can you name those 2?
Oh, I'll go with Michael Vick.
Okay. I mean, there's 2 guys there, but anybody could belt out answers.
I'll say Cam Newton again. And my other guess will be... I'll say Steve Young.
I'll say.
You want to throw another guess out there, Todd?
I'll say Elway. What the hell?
And the answers are Michael Vick and Cam Newton. So in 2010 with the Eagles, Michael Vick, 333 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and 80 rush yards. Cam Newton with the Panthers in 2015, 340 pass yards, 5 pass touchdowns, and 100 rush yards. So you both get a point, which means Mikey, once again, wins MHA Trivia.
Ooh.
I'm going to ask you guys this last question because I think it's funny, and then we'll move along. The Los Angeles Rams just lost last night to the Green Bay Packers, thus eliminating them from the playoffs with 3 weeks left to go in the regular season. They are just the second team to be eliminated with 3 weeks left to go in the regular season after winning the Super Bowl the previous season. They are also just the second team to reach 10 losses after winning the Super Bowl in the previous year. So that team is the same team. Can you guys name me that team? They both were eliminated from the Super Bowl with 3 games left to go in the regular season, and they reached 10 wins. So
yeah, I saw that. I saw it everywhere today. Yeah, it was the 99 Broncos.
That is correct. Those poor Broncos and those poor Rams. And they play each other this Sunday.
That's gonna be. We thought that matchup was gonna be. That's gonna be a great matchup on Christmas Day. Wrong. That's gonna be.
Have that eggnog ready.
Yep. Who's gonna keep their job? That's what I want to know. Is Sean McVay gonna be the next coach of the Broncos? Is Hackett gonna be gone? Who's gonna be that's gonna be fun. It's fun. But the 99 Broncos, that is fantastic.
Anything stand out that year to you, Miguel? The 99 Broncos, real quick.
Well, yeah, there was a couple things. So, number 1, Elway was retired. Number 2, Terrell Davis got his leg rolled up on by one of his own teammates. So,
and why was that?
Because Brian Greasy threw an interception.
Brian Greasy
against the Jets.
SOB.
Yeah.
But sure, he's a nice guy. Ended 2 Broncos careers prematurely.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you know who was the running back that backed up Terrell Davis that year and rushed for 1,000 yards?
Yes.
Drones?
No, it was Landis Gary.
Landis Gary.
Okay, well, there you go.
Okay.
Todd
Mikey wins trivia again.
There you go. He just
Said
cannot
no.
lose.
The
Good
only reason I said Atlanta's scary because I was looking through my college football encyclopedia and I saw one of the games, college bowl games, and Atlanta's Gary was one of the players of the game. That's just reminded me of that. There you go.
Incredible.
I
Landis
know.
Gary made the podcast.
Yep, there
Good
you
job.
go.
All right, let's get into these playoff week 1 recaps. Number 6 seeded Kilgore Trout versus number 3 seeded Belt Sanders. It all started on Thursday night, San Francisco versus Seattle. And of course, the Belt Sanders got to this point in the season because of his 49er contingency. George Kittle doing his part, a top 5 tight end in our league, scoring 2 TDs, scoring 20 points, but Kilgore Trout also with a 49er in his squad. And not a bad one at that. CMC, 108 yards rushing, 6 receptions, a touchdown, 23 points. Another nice day for the San Francisco's defense. 5 straight weeks in double figures. But that's about all Allen got from his Niners group. 2 from Brandon Ayuk and only 3 from Robbie Gould. We had a Saturday morning in Kirk Cousins. Just 7 points at halftime as the Indianapolis Colts went up 33-0 in the first half. Joe sending me some texts saying it's a disaster. Was calling it a loss knowing Josh Allen could rack up those points in a hurry. But then the second half came. Mr. Cousins scored a ridiculous 67 points in one half of football. He ended up with 74, a season high for the Vikings quarterback. On to Saturday night, and Josh Allen loves the snow and ate it up to the tune of 68 points. Allen's main man has gotten him to this point of the season. What a great 2022 season. Josh Allen, 5 games of 60 or more points. But Sunday belonged to Kilgore Trout, who got 20 surprising points from Latavius Murray, 13 from CeeDee Lamb, and 11 from Evan Ingram. So while the Belt Sanders got 13 from Zeke, just 2 points from Paris Campbell, 1 point from his late addition of Dare Ogunbowale. So the week belonged to Joe's squad by a final of 171 to 127. Kilgore Trout advances to the semifinals. But a congratulations to Allen, who had a stellar season, finishing third with an 8-5-1 record. On to the next matchup, number 5 seeded Lemonheads versus number 4 seeded Lion Rip. Major decision for yours truly that plagued him all week. Do I start Kenneth Walker versus that tough San Fran defense on Saturday night, or go with the touchdown machine? Actually, it would have been Thursday night. Or go with the touchdown machine of Jamal Williams against the Jets on the road. I went with the guy I thought was the more explosive player, so stayed with Walker on Thursday night and ended up scoring 9 points. On to Saturday, in the Lemonheads' first-round pick, Justin Jefferson put together yet an outstanding week. 12 receptions, 123 yards, and a touchdown. And I don't know if you saw that touchdown. Incredible. Breaking the ankles of Stephon Gilmore. He is something to watch. 24 points to get going for me on that Saturday. J.K. Dobbins then 125 rushing yards, 13 points. Dobbins just 5 full games this season, but has double digits in 3 of those games. It was huge. Aaron, just one guy that day, and it was Stephon Diggs in the blizzard in Buffalo, and despite 68 points from Josh Allen, just a mere 8 points for Diggs. So we go to Sunday. Some last-minute changes, or I guess a last-minute change for Aaron's team, switched out Cole Kmet for Taysom Hill, and that paid off in a hurry. Taysom Hill threw a 68-yard touchdown at the beginning of the Saints-Atlanta game. Hill would end up with 14, which is tremendous from the tight end spot these days. But this matchup came down to the Bengals versus Bucks game. Now, this is a lot, so you may have to keep up here, which, of course, featured Burrow versus Brady. Tale of 2 halves and a final drive. Burrow, just 6 points at the half, while Brady looked like he was reborn and had 36 points. I remember seeing this prediction line on my Yahoo phone in that system, in the software. It gives out the percentages, and I saw it as high as 84% and felt solid, not great. Anything could happen, and it did. Tom Brady, 4 straight drives in which he turned over the ball, all leading to 4 touchdown passes for Joe Burrow. The final Burrow touchdown gave Lion Rip an 11-point lead. I still had Keenan Allen going in the late game, and Aaron had Devontae Adams. Allen was great once again, double figures for the 4th straight week, 12 points, despite the terrible play from Justin Herbert. Devontae Adams, who had been a staple for the Lion Rips offense all year, just 5 points in this one. A late Raider touchdown went to Keelan Cole, a controversial touchdown where some folks will tell you that the play was out of bounds, but eventually would be called a touchdown on the field and not overturned, and looked like this game was going into overtime. So a chance for Adams to pick up some points, but as we all have seen by now, Ramondre Stevenson on the final drive busts out for a long run, decides to lateral it back to Jacoby Myers, who then decided to lateral it all the way back to Mac Jones. I'm not sure what Mac Jones was going to do, but instead sent it to the arms of Chandler Jones, who stiff-armed Jones's face into the turf and scored the game-winning touchdown. No overtime. What of a big-time blunder that ended the game. Thus, no Devontae Adams late points, which can come up in a hurry. We've seen that in person. Devontae Adams coming through in overtime. So back to the Brady Burrow Bowl. The Bengals were up 34-17 with a few minutes on the clock, and Brady, as he's done for me for a majority of the season, he racked up some late garbage points. The surefire Hall of Famer completed 7 passes, which included a touchdown to Russell Gage, which infuriated me to no end because Russell Gage was on and off this game. He really pissed me off in moments, but he did catch the final touchdown, 14 points on the final drive for the Lemonheads that put him up for good. The final 130-124. I mentioned that conundrum between Kenneth Walker and Jamal Williams. Walker 9 points, Williams 3. 6-point difference, the exact amount I beat Lion Rip by, and with Aaron's win over me in the regular season, Aaron would have advanced. So that was a great decision on my part. And there you have it. My goodness. Mikey, you were there in person as Aaron and I were going at it. I was trying to keep my emotions in check, but sometimes I don't have control of all of that.
No, it was fascinating to watch everything kind of going down all at once, like for no reason at all. Like, I mean, Aaron had come all the way back. I think Brady had something stupid like -2 for the second half before that final drive.
Goodness.
Which was nuts. And then, it allowed Aaron to come all the way back because Burrow threw like 3 touchdowns in the second half.
Well, I think he scored all 4 in the second half, all of them on the turnovers.
Yeah. And then that last one, I remember you being really mad because it's like, well, they don't need to pass. Why is he throwing?
I think I walked out of the room for a few seconds after that touchdown.
Yeah, so that was like so crazy. And then really, I mean, Tampa Bay by that point, they were done. They had no reason to even try and go down and score, but like they did anyway. And then that craziness with the Raider game happened where he couldn't get any more points from Adams in overtime. And then I thought about it after the fact, because Aaron was at 125. I was like, man, what if the Bucks didn't score that touchdown? Maybe they got another completion but didn't score the touchdown, and Aaron was still winning by a point, which would have been the case. And then Burrow kneeled down twice. He lost rushing yards on that. That's why he went from 125 to 124. That would have been even more fun.
Oh, you said 125 at one point. I thought you just made a mistake. No. He actually went back a point because of kneeling.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. But no, it was just craziness all at the end of the game. That's what the playoffs is all about. I mean, I'm sure you're glad, you got the win. But man, just nuts.
It was nuts. And 4 turnovers in a row by Brady. A couple of fumbles, a couple of picks. I was like, what is happening? He's going to screw me in the end after all this season long. I guess he's actually had 4 turnovers in a game before, but one right after, and they all led to Burrow touchdowns. I was like, this is ridiculous. Well, like these things were just pushing into Aaron's favor. Like I can only imagine, like he was 6 points at half for a quarterback.
Yeah,
and eventually he was up by 11 points.
Yeah, it was crazy. Brady had like -2 going into that final drive for the second half and ended up with 16 on that final drive, which is...
It was 16, not 14?
I thought so. Because I thought if I remember you were down by like 11 going in. I could have been wrong about that, but still nuts.
It's still nuts to be able to pick all that on one drive in a game that in a moment where it didn't matter. They could have just handed off the ball and that would have been it. And I would have lost. But that's not what happened. Thanks, Tom Brady. Let's talk about the stars of playoff week 1. Mikey, give me a star from the first week.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
Well, my first star, this is going to go to Kirk Cousins because, I mean, the 7 points at the half and then turning that into 74. Yeah, I mean that happened the very first game of the day on Saturday, and you just kind of got the feeling that after that Allen had his work cut out for him, and that he probably wasn't going to win. So I got to give it to him.
I agree. I mean, he threw 54 times. It's one of those games. It was like that Josh Allen game a couple years ago, and you just like imagined this, like, oh, he's going to complete every pass. They're going to go down the field and they're going to score a touchdown. It'll be 3-and-out for the defense, and your quarterback goes down the field, picks up another 6 or 7 completions, another touchdown. It's just like a video game. It's just like you see it in your brain, and all of a sudden it's just coming alive, and it just kept coming alive. And I remember telling Joe, I was like, what are you worried about? It's gonna be garbage time in the second half. It's like he's just gonna rack up these completions, and he was worried about them benching Kirk Cousins. And I said, well, they will if he don't score any points in the first couple of drives. And they did. They scored. KJ Osborne was incredible, and then of course Justin Jefferson was incredible, and they were able to just move down the field. And 2 great weeks in a row for Kirk Cousins, just ridiculous. And I told him, I said, you feel good now? He goes, I'll take it. I said, you're going to thank those fantasy football gods for what you just saw. Like, we just saw history. And he's going to the next round of the playoffs because of history. The biggest comeback in pro football history. And like, how lucky do you get in something like that? That he better be on his hands and knees. All right, Todd, give me a star.
I'll give Justin Jefferson again another. I mean, 123 yards rushing. I mean, receiving, proving he's right now best wide receiver in football, and just for
preach it, son.
And just for non-fantasy purposes, he has a chance to maybe break Calvin Johnson's single season receiving record. So might as well go the whole. And he needs 324 yards to break it. So hope he gets it. I mean, it's gonna just put his stock up there next year when it comes. Next year for being the top wide receiver, regardless if Cooper Kupp comes back. I know we had conversation in the offseason. Cooper Kupp does everything, and obviously it's not his fault he got hurt. But Justin Jefferson is just on a different level of just wowness. It's crazy. He's putting up the numbers like comparisons, but just he's putting up numbers like Jerry Rice, but the athleticism like Randy Moss. It's awesome to watch. So good for Justin Jefferson, and good for you because you drafted him, and the fact he dropped that far in the draft, and you got him, and you're you're in the semifinals. So kudos to you.
Yeah. Number 1 wide receiver in terms of points, 10 ahead of Tyreek Hill, 21 ahead of Stephon Diggs, 23 ahead of Devontae Adams. Number 1. I was kind of torn between, I want to say Brady just for the fact that on that last drive he saved my season, but it's hard to ignore what Christian McCaffrey, he's got 23 or more points in 3 straight weeks. That trade has done wonders. I mean, there's so many injuries over there with the running back situation in San Francisco. And that kind of hurt Allen in some respects because, he was running with, I know Justin Wilson was, I guess, traded at some point. But because of that, now CMC just continues to pile up the receptions and the rushing yards on a team that needs them right now, especially with Purdy. Not that Purdy's done bad, but you rely on McCaffrey. And San Francisco has put themselves in a position to go and make a deep run in the playoffs. All right, Mikey, talk about some losers that cost some owners some championships here in playoff week 1.
What, do you smell something?
Do I smell something? What am I, hard of smelling? Of course I smell something.
Welp, I mean, you could take a look at, Aaron's team, his receivers who are normally, what carries the day for him. The very last week of the regular season, they really struggled. This week, Hopkins was okay, but Adams and Diggs didn't reach double figures again, and that's probably what saved the day for you was the, Devontae Adams, 5 points. I mean, and Aaron kind of mentioned it on Sunday, like those are his first 2 picks, Adams and Diggs, and they combined for 13. It's hard for him to win when that's happening.
Yeah, you mentioned them not doing well in the previous week, and he lost that week as well. I went back and looked. So 23 points amongst Adams, Diggs, and Hopkins in second bad week in a row. Week 12, 41 points. Week 11, uh, yeah, I'm going backwards. So week 12, 41 points. Week 11, 51 points. Week 10, 53 points. Week 9, 49 points. Week 8, 45 points. Massive, massive. Those three guys were destroying people this season. And to get 5 from Adams, 8 from Diggs, 10 from Hopkins, did not work in his favor. And one of the things I said, I don't know. I guess I kind of gone back and forth, but the big reason why I went with Jefferson over like Adams and Diggs is just because he was in a similar situation with a quarterback that throws the ball, where we weren't sure what's going to happen with Derek Carr and Tua. I mean, obviously Diggs is a good pick because of him being connected with Josh Allen, but we saw what Derek Carr can do in bad moments, not getting Adams the ball. And of course, poor Arizona with their third string quarterback. Not that that's Aaron's fault. I mean, obviously Kyler and Hopkins, incredible. But when Kirk Cousins still standing and those points he put up, Justin Jefferson made me look smart at the end of the day. So yeah, 23 total points from the wide receivers. Not going to get it done for him. Todd, did you have a dud from this past week?
Well, I mean, it was more of just the fact that Allen didn't play him, but not playing Mike Evans. I mean, Ayuk and Campbell, combined for 4 points. I know Evans is, hasn't had a Mike Evans type year like we've seen in the past, but I would have still played. Evans over Campbell. I mean, I probably still would have stick with Ayuk. But I would have played Evans over Campbell. So yeah, that's that's tough. But I still would have played Evans. I mean, you got to play your big gun. He was your second round pick. You gotta ride or die with that. You can't. You can't. I understand you go based off matchups and everything like that, and who's having whose weeks have been a little bit better. You still have to you gotta stick with Evans on that one. So
I'm not sure it made a huge difference, but
yeah, no, it's only
you
9, but
talked about Aaron's trio of wide receivers, Belt
Mhm.
Sanders trio of wide receivers, 2 by Brandon Ayuk, 2 by Paris Campbell, 6 by Gabe Davis. I think that magic just run out on Aaron. I mean, Brandon Ayuk's had a solid season.
Yeah.
When you're running with Paris Campbell and Gabe Davis, and you're hoping for the moon with some of that stuff, and eventually just the magic ran out.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, it was the 9 points. It wouldn't have, mattered. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe just the decision. I mean, again, granted, they didn't make the playoffs. My team sucked this year, but I would have. I guess I still would have stick with Evans. Just to, hope. Just knowing how how many points in that game. The Tampa Bay game. So, but what do I know?
Well, so that kind of does it for the stars and the duds. But in terms of the dough of the week, it's unfortunate. Aaron, I think, made a decision too. I don't know if it was late or the night before, but he decided to go with Rachaad White instead of David Montgomery, and Montgomery ended up with 21 points, 2 touchdowns in his game against Philly, where Rachaad White just 4 points, 38 yards rushing and a reception. That obviously made a huge difference in the end, the way things ended, considering it was 6 points. So tough decision. I know Philly's got a good defense. I can see why he switched out, and with the high scoring affair of Tampa Bay and Buccaneers, and Rachaad White catches a lot of passes. I can see why he did it. Unfortunately, it just kind of hurt him in the end. So probably the dough of the week. Sorry about that, Aaron.
No.
Okay. I'll mention next week's schedule. Semifinals, number 1 seeded Hot Tamales versus number 6 seeded Kilgore Trout. The Tamales won both the regular season matchups, 160 to 137 in week 4, 176 to 89 in week 11. And then you have number 2 seeded Gonzo Cats taking on number 5 seeded Lemonheads. Lemonheads have won both regular season matchups, so in case there is a tie in either of these matches, the Hot Tamales would go on or the Lemonheads would go on. Lemonheads won in week 4, 185 to 97, and then 130 to 109. In week 4, it was 185 to 97. Week 7, 130 to 109. The Lemonheads have won 7 in a row versus the Gonzo Cats since week 3 of 2019. So a lot talk about exercising demons, right? He's got one in myself, but it's not going to be an easy matchup. Do you guys want to mention anything about these matchups? I can't look at the percentage because there's a lot left to be decided on rosters. You talk about Jalen Hurts. Currently, Deebo Samuel is on the Gonzo Cats roster, and he's not running him this week because he's injured. But what do you guys think about the matchups? I mean, we'll start with the Hot Tamales versus Kilgore Trout. What stands out to you, Todd or Mikey?
Go ahead, Mikey. Go with yours first. I have to.
Well, I mean, I respect Joe's team. His team's been hot of late. I mean, it's a team that I was worried about when he got into the playoffs because his team is like the boomer bust team. He either puts up a lot of points or his team kind of falls short. That's just kind of been how his season goes, and that's why, he was 500 because his team could go either way. Now he had that big week last week against Allen, so I'm hoping maybe this is the week where it kind of goes back to the mean and I can knock him off and head to the championship.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I mean, for you're probably not seeing 74 points from Kirk Cousins. I mean, I think we're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop for Kirk Cousins. We've talked about it on this podcast many times. He has his high weeks, his low weeks. He plays a pretty stout defense in the Giants this week. And just gave up 31 to Taylor Heineke, but it is Taylor Heineke. Did give up 54 to Jalen Hurts the week before. So we'll kind of see how that goes. But, so much favors Miguel in this one. Travis Kelce facing the Seahawks. He gave up a ton of points to tight ends here this season. He just gave up 20 to George Kittle. And then way back, he gave up 30 to TJ Hawkinson. And, of course, Austin Eckler every week. 8 or more points in every single game he's played this season. He did come out of Sunday's game early, but all tests seemed negative. I think he went back in that game, right? And so I think he's going to be fine. Indy gives up the 6th most points to running backs. They gave up 21 points to Dalvin Cook, 47 points to the trio of Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, Malik Davis. I've never heard of Malik Davis, but apparently he was able to score points from the running back position on the Colts. So
yeah, I mean, it seems like the tight end thing seems like a mismatch, but I'll say this. The last 4 weeks, the leading tight end is Evan Ingram. He has like 50-something points. He's got like almost 40.
30 of those came in one game.
Right, but over the last 3 weeks, he has like 30-something targets. So, like, something's changed to where they've been featuring him, very frequently over the course of the past month. So, and they play the Thursday game, so I'll get to see that, hopefully
Sense
the
of
Jets
that
can
early,
shut him down. Yeah.
We'll see how Latavius Murray does. He had 21 points last weekend, but they'll head on the road, take on the Rams. We'll see how the Broncos offense can move. I mean, not that the Rams have been anything incredible, but they're better than the terrible Cardinals, that's for sure. How about that Lemonheads matchup as they take on the Gonzo Cats? What stands out to you guys?
I'm gonna say obviously if Tom Brady can have another, performance like he did this past week. I mean, maybe not.
God forbid.
Yeah, God forbid.
4 turnovers in a row. Hopefully it's a little better. I mean, he ended up with 50 points. I can't complain. So, I mean, if you're going to say 50 points, I'll take 50 points.
Yeah, I mean, and, if you can get another, good performance out of Justin Jefferson, I mean, I think the wild card for sure, would be, will be the running backs and Dobbs and Walker. I mean, obviously Dobbs, the matchup is great because they're playing Atlanta. The matchup for Walker against Kansas City in Kansas City. We all know it's not the bet. That's not the easiest place to play, regardless. So it, I think it's going to come down to, if like you said, Tom Brady can have a better, start, to the game, and you're not sweating too much, there, because obviously, it's going to come down to Sunday night for you. So, you gotta, and you don't know, and you gotta see what Pollen's going to do with this quarterback situation. And
Mikey, anything stand out to you before we get out of here?
I mean, it's just gonna be figuring out who he's gonna play at the quarterback if Hurts is not in there. I mean, because it affects more than just his quarterback. Like Hurts being out, that connection he has with Devonta Smith. Who knows? It may be different with, Gardner Minshew if that's the case. So I mean, it's a sucky time. You have your quarterback all year, and then he gets hurt in a week that you're not even playing him. It's just the way things are sometimes.
So there you go.
All right.
Semifinals coming up this week. Big good luck there to Mikey Renault, and good luck to the rest of the owners that are still in it this week, including myself. And then next week we'll be talking about who's going to be in the championship. So that's going to be exciting to see. Remember, folks, Thursday night game, a majority of the games are on Saturday with Christmas on Sunday, 3 games on Sunday, and then the Monday night affair. So from everyone here at the MHA Podcast, Mikey Renault, Todd Diamond, Eric Lansing, we'll see you next time.